Stop. If you're about to buy a camera in 2026, there's a good chance you're about to waste your money. Not because the camera is bad, but because it's already obsolete. Today I'm showing you the cameras retailers want you to buy because they're clearing shelves, not because they're good value. This is Alt Buzz, where we expose marketing nonsense and help you buy smarter tech. Before we start, subscribe. This channel exists to save you money, not sell you hype. So let's start with number 10, a camera that looks like a safe entry but makes absolutely no financial sense. At number 10, Nikon Z5 Mark II, the overpriced entry. If a camera is priced next to better cameras, it better have a reason. The Nikon Z5 Mark II doesn't have that reason. Look, Nikon makes incredible cameras. The Z system is maturing beautifully, but this particular model exists in the worst possible place. It sits uncomfortably close to the Z6 Mark II in price. It's practically neighbors with the ZF. And what does it offer that justifies its position? Not much. The improvements over the original Z5 are so minimal, they're almost invisible in real-world shooting. We're talking incremental. The kind of upgrade that exists on a spec sheet but disappears when you're actually out there making images. Yes, you get slightly better autofocus. Yes, the buffer is marginally improved. But these are refinements, not revolutions. The sensor is essentially the same. The video specs barely moved. The build quality remains identical. And here's where it gets painful. If you can afford the Z5 Mark II, you're literally a few $100s away from cameras that will serve you exponentially better. The Z6 Mark II gives you better autofocus, better video specs, a camera that was designed for professionals who demand reliability. The ZF gives you that gorgeous retro design, yes, but also a more complete feature set. Both of these cameras will hold their value better. Both will get longer firmware support. Both make more sense. So why does the Z5 Mark II exist? To fill a pricing gap. To give Nikon something to sell to people who want to say they bought a 2026 camera. But wanting something new and buying something smart are two very different things. If you're paying almost professional money, you deserve professional value. This next camera does the opposite by being too cheap. At number 9, Canon EOS R100, the e-waste trap. This camera isn't designed to grow with you. It's designed to hit a price tag. Canon knows how to build entry-level cameras. They've been doing it for decades. The EOS Rebel series taught millions of people photography. But somewhere along the way, something changed. The R100 feels like Canon forgot why beginners buy cameras in the first place. They buy them to learn, to grow, to eventually become the photographers who buy the professional bodies. The R100 has no touchscreen. Let that sink in. In 2026, when even budget smartphones have responsive touch interfaces, Canon released a camera where you can't tap to focus. You can't swipe through menus. You navigate everything with buttons and dials like it's 2012. The rear screen is fixed, no flip out for selfies, no tilt for low angles. Just locked in place, forcing you to contort your body for basic compositions. The 4K video? Heavily cropped. So heavy that your lenses suddenly become telephoto, whether you want them to or not. That wide-angle lens you bought? Not so wide anymore. The autofocus system is also generations behind. It struggles with tracking. It hunts in less than perfect light, and the single card slot means you're gambling with your photos every time you shoot something important. Professional photographers use dual slots for a reason. Beginners deserve that safety net too. And here's the real problem. This camera has a learning ceiling that you'll hit fast. Within months, you'll feel it. The limitations will start choking your creativity. You'll want features that simply aren't there. And then you'll have to upgrade, meaning you'll buy two cameras when you should have bought one better one from the start. This isn't an entry into photography, it's a dead end. The R50 exists. It costs a bit more, but it treats you like someone who might actually stick with photography. It respects your potential. Now let's talk about a camera that claims to fix a problem, but actually creates a new one. At number 8, Sony ZV-1 Mark II, the stabilization lie. Sony says this camera is wider. Your footage says otherwise. Marketing is a beautiful thing when it's honest. It's dangerous when it's technically true but practically false. The ZV-1 Mark II is a masterclass in the latter. Sony announced it with fanfare. Ultra-wide 18mm lens, they said. Perfect for vlogging, they promised. Get more in the frame, they guaranteed. And they weren't lying. The lens is wider. On paper, the specs check out. But cameras don't live on paper. They live in your hands, recording your actual life. Here's what Sony didn't emphasize. This camera has no optical image stabilization. None. For a camera marketed to vloggers, people who shoot handheld, people who walk and talk, this is catastrophic. So Sony relies entirely on electronic stabilization. And electronic stabilization works by cropping your image aggressively. That beautiful wide 18mm lens. After stabilization kicks in, you're looking at a field of view similar to the old model. You paid for width and stabilization took it away. It's like buying a bigger apartment, then having the landlord wall off half of it. The crop is so severe that you lose approximately 20 to 30% of your frame. In low light, when the camera needs slower shutter speeds, the jello effect from rolling shutter becomes even more pronounced because there's no optical system to smooth things out. Sony also removed the built-in neutral density filter from the original ZV-1, meaning you have less control in bright sunlight. These aren't minor omissions, they're deal breakers for the exact use case Sony claims this camera excels at. Compare this to something like the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Real stabilization. Gimbal-based, smooth, reliable. Better low-light performance. Cleaner video workflow. Similar price point. And here's the kicker, it actually delivers what it promises. The ZV-1 Mark II is a spec sheet upgrade that collapses under real use. It's a camera designed in a boardroom, not in the field. Speaking of cameras that look great on paper, this next one collapses under real-world use. At number 7, Panasonic Lumix S9, the overheating trap. This camera wants to be stylish so badly, it forgot to be practical. Panasonic designed the S9 to turn heads. Compact full frame, sleek lines, modern aesthetic. It looks like it belongs in a coffee table photo book about minimalist design. And for some people, that's enough. But cameras aren't sculptures, they're tools. And tools need to work. The S9 has no mechanical shutter. Think about what that means. No backup when the electronic shutter creates rolling shutter issues. No option when you need flash sync. No safety net when you're shooting in bright sunlight and banding starts creeping into your images. It overheats. Not occasionally. Not in extreme conditions. It overheats doing normal video work, the kind of recording that every other camera in this price range handles without breaking a sweat. You'll be mid-shoot and the camera will just stop. Temperature warning, cooling down. Minutes of your time wasted because Panasonic prioritized form over function. Users report overheating in as little as 15 minutes of continuous 4K recording, even indoors at room temperature. The small body has nowhere for heat to dissipate. There's no fan, no proper heat management system, and the electronic-only shutter means the sensor is constantly generating heat during photo sessions too. Panasonic also limited the recording times artificially in some modes, presumably to prevent even worse overheating. That's not a feature. That's damage control. This is not a camera built for sustained work. It's not designed for photographers who need reliability. It's designed for people who want something that looks good on a shelf. And look, there's nothing wrong with caring about aesthetics. But when aesthetics actively harm functionality, you've gone too far. The Panasonic S5 Mark II exists. Same ecosystem, similar size. But it works. It has a mechanical shutter. It doesn't overheat. It's a tool, not a fashion accessory. If you want a Panasonic full-frame camera, that's the one. Quick pause. If this video has already saved you from a bad purchase, I want you to know we've got deeper guides on our website. Full buying breakdowns, lens recommendations, everything you need for zero regrets. And if you want to support this channel directly, there's a $5 membership. No fluff, just early access and deeper breakdowns. Link is in the description. Also, subscribe if you haven't yet, because we're about to get into the most dangerous category, discounted cameras that are already obsolete. At number 6, Nikon Z50 Generation 1, the obsolete trap. The moment the Z50 Mark II launched, this camera stopped making sense. Here's how clearance sales work. A company announces a new model. Retailers know the old model is about to become worthless. So they slash prices. They create urgency, limited time. While supplies last chance. And people see that discount and think they're winning. They're not. The original Z50 was a solid camera when it launched. Great for enthusiasts. Compact, a capable crop sensor in the Z mount. But that was then. Now we have the Z50 Mark II. And the differences aren't subtle. X-Speed 7 processor, massively improved autofocus tracking. Subject detection that actually works. And here's the big one, modern inputs and outputs. The Generation 1 model still uses micro USB in 2026. That's not just inconvenient. It's a signal that this camera was designed for a different era. Firmware support will be shorter. Resale value will tank. You're buying into a dead branch of Nikon's evolution. The buffer on the original model is also significantly slower, meaning you'll hit the limit faster when shooting action or sports. The autofocus in low light is a full generation behind, struggling to lock on in conditions where the Mark II succeeds easily. And the video autofocus on the Generation 1 is nearly unusable for serious work, constantly hunting and refusing to track moving subjects smoothly. These aren't minor inconveniences. They're fundamental limitations that will frustrate you every single time you pick up the camera. If you see a huge discount on the Z50 Generation 1, it's not a deal. It's a clearance. Nikon wants it gone so they can move the new model. And you should want it gone too, because better options exist at similar real-world prices when you factor in long-term value. If a retailer is practically begging you to buy something, ask yourself why. Now let's talk about a camera that shouldn't exist at all. At number 5, OM System OM5, the lazy rebadge. When a company runs out of ideas, it changes the logo. The OM System OM5 is fundamentally an older Olympus design with a new name slapped on it. The internals are largely recycled. The updates are minimal. The changes are cosmetic. And yet it's being sold like it's a fresh 2026 release. Look at the ports. Still micro USB, still the same connectivity that was outdated 3 years ago. The autofocus, barely improved. The sensor, old. The whole package screams, we needed something to sell, so we rebranded what we already had. And here's what makes this frustrating. Micro Four Thirds can be incredible. The format has advantages. Compact lenses, great stabilization, portability. But those advantages only matter when the camera itself is competitive. When you compare the OM5 to what Panasonic and even Nikon are doing in similar price ranges, it falls short. The dynamic range is noticeably behind modern sensors. The autofocus system is contrast detect only, meaning it's slow and unreliable compared to phase detection systems that are now standard even in budget cameras. The buffer is small, limiting your ability to shoot continuous bursts, and the weather sealing, while present, isn't as robust as OM Systems' marketing suggests. Light rain? Sure. Heavy professional use in harsh conditions? You're taking risks. You're not buying innovation. You're buying nostalgia with a fresh coat of paint. And nostalgia is a terrible reason to spend money on technology, because technology moves forward, and this camera is standing still. Better alternatives exist. Even within the Micro Four Thirds system, better alternatives exist. This camera is for people who don't compare. And if you're watching this video, you're not one of those people. At number 4, Canon PowerShot V10, the gimmick. This camera is trying to replace your phone. It already lost. Canon designed the PowerShot V10 for a very specific person, someone who wants to vlog, someone who's intimidated by menus and settings, someone who thinks a dedicated camera must be better than their phone simply because it's a camera. That person is wrong. The V10 has a tiny sensor, smaller than what's in most modern smartphones. It has no stabilization, so every step you take translates into shaky footage. It has no flexibility, no lens options, no room to grow. It's a one-trick device in a world where your phone already does 10 tricks better. Modern smartphones have computational photography, night mode, portrait mode, cinematic video modes with actual depth of field effects. They have stabilization that makes handheld footage look gimbal smooth. They fit in your pocket. They're always with you. Your iPhone or Samsung flagship has a larger sensor than this camera. It has better processing. It has artificial intelligence doing real-time adjustments that the V10 can't even dream of. And here's the painful part. The V10 costs more than some excellent action cameras that actually deliver stabilization, better image quality, and true versatility. The microphone quality is mediocre at best. The battery life is poor. And the fixed lens means you're stuck with one perspective forever. The V10 offers none of those advantages. It's worse than your phone. But it's being marketed like it's an upgrade, like it's the solution to some problem that doesn't actually exist. If you want to vlog seriously, buy a real camera. If you want convenience, use your phone. The V10 sits awkwardly between both worlds, serving neither. Your phone is better, and it's already in your pocket. At number 3, Sony ZV-E10 Generation 1, the rolling shutter trap. This camera didn't age poorly. It was flawed from day one. Rolling shutter is one of those technical issues that sounds minor until you experience it. Then it becomes unbearable. When you pan your camera or film fast-moving subjects, the image warps. Buildings lean, objects jello. The footage looks amateurish no matter how well you compose the shot. The ZV-E10 Generation 1 suffers from severe rolling shutter in 4K. It's not subtle. It's not something only pixel peepers notice. It ruins motion footage. And for a camera marketed to content creators, people who film themselves walking, moving, living, this is unforgivable. Sony knew about this problem. They fixed it in the ZV-E10 Mark II. Better sensor readout, massively reduced rolling shutter. The camera this should have been from the start. The Generation 1 also has significant overheating issues that Sony conveniently downplayed at launch. Recording limits kick in frustratingly fast, especially in warmer environments. The menu system is also Sony's older, more convoluted interface, making simple adjustments unnecessarily complex for beginners. And the crop factor when shooting 4K is more severe than competing cameras, further limiting your compositional options. Battery life is poor enough that you'll need multiple spares for even modest shooting sessions. So why is the Generation 1 still on shelves? Because Sony wants it gone. Retailers are stuck with inventory, and they need to move it before everyone realizes the Mark II exists. Here's the thing. If you buy the Generation 1 cheap, you're still buying the flaw. The rolling shutter doesn't care how much you paid. Your footage will still jello, your audience will still notice, and you'll still wish you'd spent a bit more for the version that works. The fix exists. Buy the fix, not the flaw. At number 2, Panasonic Lumix G100D, the fake refresh. A new letter doesn't mean a new camera. Panasonic added a viewfinder to the G100. They added USB-C charging. They slapped a D on the end of the name and called it a new model. And technically, sure, it's different, but different doesn't mean better. Different doesn't mean worth buying. The core problems remain untouched. Heavy 4K crop that makes your wide lenses useless. Weak contrast detect autofocus that hunts in anything less than perfect light. Poor video performance compared to literally any modern competitor. The D suffix implies meaningful upgrade. It suggests evolution. But this is cosmetic surgery, not actual improvement. The bones of this camera are old. The technology inside is dated, and no amount of new paint changes that. The sensor is the same aging chip from the original model. Dynamic range is narrow compared to modern cameras. Low light performance is genuinely poor, producing noisy images above ISO 1600. The build quality, while adequate, feels cheap in your hands compared to cameras at this price point. And the biggest insult? Panasonic charges nearly the same price as cameras with phase detection autofocus, IBIS, and modern sensors. The G100D is banking on brand loyalty and people who don't research alternatives. When a company releases a refresh this shallow, it tells you something. It tells you they don't have anything real to offer. They're buying time, filling space, hoping you won't notice that better cameras exist at the same price. Cosmetic updates don't fix core problems. And this camera's core problems are unfixable without a complete redesign. And finally, the camera everyone wants, but almost no one should buy. At number 1, Fujifilm X-T30 Mark II, the hype trap. This camera is expensive because TikTok loves it, not because it's complete. Let's talk about hype. Fujifilm film simulations are gorgeous. The X-T30 Mark II produces beautiful images straight out of camera. It has that analog aesthetic that makes Instagram users weak in the knees. And because of that, because of the vibes, because of the culture around it, this camera commands inflated prices, both new and used. But here's what TikTok doesn't tell you. It has no in-body image stabilization. None. In 2026, when IBIS is standard even in entry-level competitors, Fujifilm expects you to pay premium prices for a camera that can't stabilize itself. Every handheld shot risks blur. Every low-light situation becomes a challenge. Every video clip shows the shake your hands naturally have. And sure, some lenses have stabilization, but you're now locked into buying more expensive glass to compensate for what should be in the body. The battery life is abysmal, barely reaching 300 shots on a good day. The single card slot is a risk for professional work. The ergonomics, while charming to some, are cramped and uncomfortable for extended shooting sessions. And the used market has inflated prices to ridiculous levels because influencers keep pushing this camera without mentioning its fundamental limitations. You're paying a premium for aesthetic appeal while sacrificing practical functionality. The Fujifilm X-S20 exists. Same ecosystem, same film simulations, same image quality, but it has IBIS. It has better video specs. It has a bigger battery that doesn't die after 200 shots. It's the camera the X-T30 Mark II should have been. But the X-S20 doesn't have the same hype. It doesn't show up in aesthetic TikTok compilations. So people keep buying the X-T30 Mark II, paying too much, getting too little. Vibes don't stabilize footage, and hype is the most expensive feature you can pay for. If you almost bought one of these, congratulations. You just saved yourself a lot of regret. Subscribe if you want honest buying advice, not sponsored nonsense. If this video helped you directly, super thanks are always appreciated, and check our website for full buying guides and that $5 membership for early access. This is Alt Buzz, small channel, big honesty. Remember, if a camera is discounted for a reason, you deserve to know the reason.